All right, so here's the basic deal. She is in a group, I think an employer of sorts, and was requested to go to some women's conference. So she went to it, and she gave me a breakdown of what happened. So basically, this is what happened. They had a bunch of female speakers, and then they broke down into separate subcategory groups, and they're supposed to reconvene later. And every group was about how, I mean, seriously, it's like a women's group. It's like, of all the things, I mean, come on, women have just as much as experience and potential and life observation as men. But what did they all focus on in some groups? As how oppressed they were in sexism and discrimination and sexual harassment. And her being obviously of a real woman type, knew it was BS, knew it was, cocky pop, or poppycock, as GW says. And she just like, why am I here? I got the free food. But she made the observation that all these women, like, of varying ages, you think like the 20-somethings would just fall sucker for it. But women in their 40s and 50s were swallowing it whole. And it was all, they focus, despite everything in the world they could talk about. The world is their oyster, unlimited potential to talk about women in the workforce. They all go to discrimination. And I'm sorry once again, even though it's a curse-free podcast, to all you women that want to focus on discrimination, fuck you! You whiny, snivelly fucking cunts. That's all you have to focus on. We're oppressed. We're discriminated against. And she had words. Don't worry, she's just as pissed off about it as I am. But this is what Women's Empowering Group is a whiny, cunty bitch fest? Fuck you! When do you girls grow a fucking pair and become equals? That's what I want to know. When do you man up? When do you carry your own freaking weight? And when behind closed doors say, what can we do to really progress? The most obvious and logical conclusion I would have, being the economist that I am, working in the real world, in the banking, the financial services sector, where presumably you're supposed to allocate capital to figure out inefficiencies and efficiencies and throw the capital where the inefficiencies are to make freaking profit! I would just surmise that maybe you would tell women to go and major in STEM. I think that would be the most expedient route and the best uses of your resources to go and help close the wage gap. But when I see a professional organization put between women and all the women show up and all they do is become a freaking whiny bitch fest, it tells me you have no intention of actually putting forth the required necessary labor to close that wage gap. You'd rather just sit there and whine and complain, which means you're freaking parasites, and all you want is more guys' money to make things fair. Not fair. Oh, shut the freak up. 40 freaking years of this BS. You think Gen X and the millennials are going to tolerate this much longer? Do you know how bad you're making it for future women who actually might want to work hard and put forth the effort? Well, we constantly hear this never-ending bitching and whining, and you live up to the freaking stereotype. You do know the manosphere is out there. You do know the internet is out there. You do know that people and ideas and concepts are being infiltrated into people's minds. Not ideas and concepts being infiltrated. Reality and truth is being infiltrated into men's minds, where they're not going to tolerate this leftist, socialist, whiny, feminist bullshit. And no matter what you understand, there's not going to be any stigmatism left anymore, be calling a racist or a sexist because you guys have overused it, and you've cried wolf so many freaking times. You know, you 45-year-old empowered executive women that make way more money than the average person in the United States who still bitch and whine about oppression and patriarchy and sexism and sexuality. You understand that you are running out of bullets in your gun. If not, you have already ran out, and now it's just a false threat. And the next generation is growing up with different ideas, truthful ideas based on reality, and they're not going to swallow it anymore. That it's just going to be crying wolf. No one's coming to your rescue. You're starting to lose traction. No one cares. People like me are starting to expose your whining, and that's all it is. You know, when you go up to your son, for all you 45-year-old corporate executive type women who shipped off your children to daycare because you never really wanted to have them in the first place, you just wanted to freak and spit out a child and have them as a thing. Will you tell those children of yours, if you spend half the time doing your chores that you did complaining about it, well, here's a big freaking boomerang back at you, you babe bitches. If you spent half the freaking time that you do bitching and whining about how things are too unfair, actually closing the freaking wage gap, learning math, learning STEM, and working just as many hours as men, there wouldn't be a freaking wage gap. Matter of fact, there isn't, because women who do that actually make the exact same amount of money, if not a little bit more than men. But again, I understand. This is why this email agitated me so much, because it's proof positive you women have no effing intention of being equal to men. You're parasites. You're whiny little cunty parasites. You want more money? It's so oppressing. You have no desire to be equals. None whatsoever. And there are real women like our agent in the field who had to go and suffer your insufferable leftist, crying, whiny, feminist bullshit that actually do want to do it, and you're actually hurting those women that are willing to put forth the work. But do not tell me, I'm so tired of it. It's just about the equal treatment of men. No, it's you all playing a game of victimization so you get more resources for men, you get lower standards and hurdles that you got to jump over, and you get more resources. That's all it is. It's just a resource grab. It's just freaking Marxism. It's just socialism. It's just petty theft. And I will continue to claim you're nowhere near equals if that's the route you're going to go. You're parasites. The parasites claiming to be equal to the host. Oh, get the freak out of here. And what's sick and disgusting is this is like a private sector. This wasn't even a government organization. This is a private sector organization. It's all these corporate... Yeah, you default? Is that you just default to sexism? All right, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you the same thing I'm giving people, black people in my book, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. I'm going to give you the same paradox, the same question. What if it is sexism? What if it is the evil men or the black people, evil whites that's oppressing you? What's under your control? If it's other people that are oppressing you, there's nothing you can do about it. So why don't you focus on things you can do things about? I don't believe for half a second men are oppressing you. I think men have done amazing things for you women, and you ought to be so incredibly grateful. Of course, this no good deed goes unpunished. That's where if anything, the past 30 years of women's treatment of men in the United States has proven that. And men are coming around. Don't you worry, ladies. Don't you freaking worry. It's coming around. But if it's outside of your control, why don't, instead of bitching and whining, you focus on things that are practical and underneath your control? Why don't you do that? Why don't you focus on things that you can control? Oh, that's right, because deep down inside you know it isn't oppression. You know the racket you're running. You know the, fainting and fading spells. Where's the Victorian couch? Men, come give me more resources. We're exposing it. We're done with it. I can't say all of us because there's a lot of desperate, hungry men. Although, what's that like? Honest to God, that's gotta suck, man. Ain't that a paradox? Although life is in continual equilibrium and balance, that's one thing you're gonna learn about life. There's always justice. There's always equilibrium and balance. What is it like demanding men be complete idiotic retards who just give you resources, but they don't satisfy you sexually? What is that like? Wanting the real man to just, I'm sorry to say it, fuck you and screw you good to the point you're almost passing out because the orgasms are so many and so intense. What's it like wanting that man, knowing he's a Republican, is a conservative or libertarian, is going to hold you up to standards, and then you refuse and rebuke that man because the government offers you more resources, because being a victim pays better, but you can't satisfy yourself sexually? That's got to be a real tough one for you ladies. It's got to be a real confliction in your mind. But then what? You fill the gap with all these pajama boy guys, these sensitive 90s types with the thick rimmed glasses? I'm not to be crass, but do you even get wet, or do you gotta go get the freaking KY jelly and have Mortimer freaking screw you as he recites poetry from his lesbian French Guatemalan 13th century sculpture poetry class. Well, I mean, seriously, that's gotta suck for you. Millions of years of genetic programming, you want to bang that guy, you want that guy to screw you good. You just want to be, just expended completely. Lying there in your bed full of Lord knows what kind of excrement and goo. And you got Madison. You have Tanner. He's sensitive. He knows what I feel. He's a pansexual 3rd Gen X MGTOW level 6. What's it like? Huh? Your husband back at home can't satisfy you? Oh, he managed to inseminate you and load you up with some kids. There's some liabilities. That's great. Oh, but you're a corporate executive that's going to go and complain about the oppression of women. What's it like having the obedient husband that you always wanted? Instead of the guy that just fucks you silly and makes you beg for it. What's it like? I don't know what it's like because I'm not on that end. But I gotta believe it's gotta be torturous living that contradictory lifestyle. I'm a powerful corporate executive, and men are oppressed. That's the first thing you go to is the men, which only obviates the fact that you obsess about men, and that's where it really is. Oh my God, you guys are so freaking transparent. I'm just happy that you're gonna go nail some other guy, ruin your kid's life. Because your husband ain't doing it for you because you married the guy that you were told to marry by the 70s feminists. You make a lot of money, that's good, and you think you don't make enough because evil white man, Republican, conservative, conspiracy, whatever. And you're going to throw away the guy that supports you and your kids because you're not happy. Because you're discriminated against. Because you swallow all this leftist bullshit. Oh, it's great. Just great. I do and I don't tire of talking about the feminist issues because in one regard, I know it's attention whoring, but in the other regard,